for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sally. I'm Head of Partnerships at MuchLoved, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined this morning by one of our fabulous account managers, Catherine Watson, who some of you may have had the pleasure of meeting, maybe at the NFE, or maybe you are lucky enough to have her as your account manager. Now, this morning we're going to be talking through a variety of things. So, like I said, any questions, pop them in the chat box. We are also recording the session. So if you want to share this with any colleagues, then give us a nod and we will share the recording with you so that you can forward it on to anyone you know who may have missed the session, or anyone you think may get value from watching it back. So I'm just going to talk through the areas that we are going to cover this morning. So it's all about making the most of MuchLoved, and we're going to touch on how to integrate tributes into the funeral. That's kind of lived-in experience, I guess, from my point of view. We're going to talk through the benefits of adding a tribute owner, how to share a page through QR codes using SMS text, and so on, and also highlighting a couple of the fantastic features that we have within the event tribute pages. We're also going to talk you through reports and the use of alerts, and then we've got a fantastic new bit of collateral to share with you, which is our new designed client leaflet, which you may or not have seen in our latest e-newsletter, which went out earlier in the week. And we're also going to touch on one of the benefits that you get with the service, which is grief chat. And then finally, just share with you our plans for forthcoming webinars, which reminds me, if you would like us to run a webinar on a particular topic, then do share your ideas, because we are always looking for fresh and new ideas to run these webinars. So any comments or other things you'd really be interested in to learn about, it could be a particular feature of our service, or it could be how people use them, then let us know and we will look at setting that up for you. So before I hand over to Catherine, I just want to talk through something that I experienced earlier in the year. So I went to a funeral myself, which is, I'm pleased to say, not something that I have to do very often, unlike yourselves. It was for my husband's aunt. She'd been very poorly for quite a while. The children were very focused on getting through her funeral. The funeral director had set up a tribute page for her because they did want to collect donations in memory. The family were aware of the tribute page, but there was no focus on it, I have to say. And during the funeral, which I think was probably a fairly sort of standard setup funeral, it was in a crematorium and they had a celebrant running the funeral service. And the family had chosen to have a visual tribute of, showcasing pictures of Brenda and alongside music, which the family had carefully selected. And after the visual tribute, the celebrant took some time to talk about how the family had spent, they'd made a lot of consideration about the photos that they wanted to share, that signified particular times in Brenda's life, and why the music was really important as well. And it just kind of left me thinking, actually, what a lovely point for the celebrant to ask the funeral guests if they would like to share their stories and memories of Brenda for the benefit of the family, and that they could have done that by scanning the QR code to the tribute page, which could have been placed on the back of the order of service. It wasn't in this case. So by doing that, they could then share their memories and stories. And this resonated even further when we went to the wake, and the family had collated these massive boards of photos, and everyone was standing around them, chatting about, reminiscing that they were in one picture, or do you remember that? And it's so lovely to hear, sort of talking about all their memories and stories of Brenda, but obviously the family weren't necessarily able to hear all of these stories. and memories that had been come up, because there were so many people at the wake. They were talking to lots of different people. And I thought, how nice would it have been if in the days after the funeral, they could have actually read some of these stories and memories through the tribute page. And I think that would have really been helpful for them after the funeral, to help them through their bereavement. And also just would have been a lovely place to store and record those memories. I also thought, well, you know, the audience here, or the funeral guests, they weren't young. They were probably 75, 80. Lots of them had electric cars in the car park. So I thought, well, actually, technologically wise, they would be very capable of scanning a QR code and adding a photo or a memory to the tribute page. So I thought that shouldn't really have been a barrier. I think it was just a case that maybe the celebrant didn't really understand or know about the tribute service. So I guess this is actually a little bit of a plea from me to see if you can help us to integrate tributes better into the funeral in that way. And that might be by adding a QR code to the back of the order of service with really clear messaging on why it's there and what it is. And then maybe there's an opportunity to speak to some of your celebrants to explain that you've set the family up with this lovely tribute page, and it's an opportunity for them to use it to collect donations through, but also, really importantly, for people to be able to share their stories and messages. So it's not just a place for the family to add their stories, it's about the wider community as well. So I'm going to hand over to Catherine now to talk through some more of the practical elements of the service.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sally, and thank you very much for sharing your own story, because I think it's really important for us to kind of, you know, understand how it can be used when we do, as you say, don't attend funerals quite and be in that environment like funeral directors are. So and so what I'm going to touch on is the benefits of adding the tribute owner, and that's going to be looking at various aspects of that. I think instead of just looking at a slide, it's much better sometimes to see a tribute and your partner area as you would see it yourselves and the supporter would see it themselves. So you should hopefully now, I say, be able to see my screen. And this is our test platform. This is our MuchLoved, or M. Lovell and Sons. It's a test platform. It's not a real partner area, but it should be what you're familiar with. And I just wanted to show you this area because sometimes you'll see this column. Well, you'll see this column here on tribute owner, and I've popped in, if it's just got plus add owner, it means the tribute owner, the family member, hasn't been added to be able to manage and look after their page going forward. So that's where you'll see it within your partner area. But what does that actually mean? What does it mean by adding the tribute owner? And that's what I want to look at a little bit today. So I've got here a test tribute page as well. And for the tribute owner, they have they see the tribute page like friends and family would, but they get this additional button here at the very bottom, tribute settings, and they get quick links here at the very bottom as well, where they can also administer and use and make changes to the pages. So they can also, everybody who views the page is also able to share it as well. So that's another feature on the front, so people to be able to share their tribute page. But I just want to click into the settings. So this is the tribute guardian, that tribute owner that you've added into the partner area. What does it mean? And when they click on the settings, they have many, many features to be able to continue to use that page. Like Sally was saying with her husband's aunt page, you know, there's lots of content that could have been added, and we often see when people do leave lovely messages and thoughts and continue to use their page, the tribute owner, the family member, can actually continue to maybe update any mistakes or spelling mistakes or change any content. And one of the really lovely features is actually when there's all those lovely donations coming in, is they're able to see that full donation information. I'm sure that yourselves may get questions about the donations when they're paid to the charity. This feature enables the tribute owner to see that themselves, even going forwards, because the pages stay live forever. They are able to continue to look at this information. They've got a sort of the donation page, the charities that are being supported. But when they click on My Donations, they're able to see listed the donations that have come in. They can filter that by online donations and offline donations. And as this is a test page that we've got here, it's just got the offline donations. And you're able just yourselves from your partner area to include any checks that you're posting off to the charity. If you've collected any cash that you're then going to subsequently send off to the charities, then you can also include this so they can see a really clear breakdown of all of that information and all of those donations. And if there were any online donations, which often there are many, many online donations, they would be able to see the status of that, the money that's been paid, when it's gone over to the charity and when they've received it, and all of that information there. So they're able to do that from within the front end of the tribute page. They have the additional settings there.
Catherine, I'm just gonna also clarify that you can see that information in your partner area as well. So you don't have to go into the back end of the tribute to see that yourselves. You can see it from the partner area.
Yeah, I'll show you that now actually. So within this area here on your MuchLoved Partner area, you have the settings button. If you can't see that settings, it might just be that your screen's a bit too big. So just use the control and minus and you'll see my screen expanding and going smaller there. So within these settings, you're also able, as soon as there's any donations, you will be able to see that within this charity payments button here. So all of those donations that have come in, you'll be able to see when they're sent over to the charity, the reference number that the charity received within that payments, and all of that information is there within your partner area. So for the tribute owner, they're also able to amend and update, as I mentioned just now, adding them, they can make the corrections. If there's a spelling mistake, they would go to the content here. There may be some thoughts that have been added on the page and maybe somebody's made a mistake, and maybe even they wish to remove any content that's not suitable. They're able to do that. You're empowering them to be able to do that so they can go in here, make the edits or delete the thoughts. And likewise with any of the content that's added, so maybe some thoughts with the candles and things like that that you can see on here. If they need to make any changes, then they can do that there. So what you're doing by creating this initially an online funeral notice, you're creating and providing your family with this bereavement space, this space that they can use forever, and you're empowering them to make it their own. And you can see even on the home page here with the design on this page we've got here for Anne. She's got the kittens page theme. We've got lots and lots of themes in there. So the tribute owner is able to go in there, for example, and make changes to the design of the page as well. So they might say, actually, I'm going to change it to something else that they wish to use. They have also the ability to include a journal. Now, this journal on the page, when they go to the content, they have the ability to have a journal. They can make that journal private or public. And it can be that it's like a private diary for them to put their own feelings and thoughts, or they can have it public so that friends and family can see the words that they're adding onto the tribute page. So they simply click the add the new entry there. So this is a feature specifically for the tribute owner, their own special space, and they can have it so that they can add pictures and, you know, the tribute creation. They can make the changes there of what can be added. The tribute itself has so many non-monetary interactions as well. I know for yourselves and for the family initially, facilitating the donations is just such a brilliant feature for them to do, and it can present the funeral information. But the uniqueness of the MuchLoved pages is all the non-monetary interaction, all of that bereavement support, where the family can add photos, stories, music. People can go on and click the contribute button, and in here they can add all sorts onto the tribute page that the family keep as that photo gallery, as Sally was sort of saying about her husband's aunt. They could have added pictures and stories and music and their own experience and stories of loved ones. The tribute owner, again, has the ability to download all the content on a tribute page. We actually used to get quite a lot of calls into MuchLoved talking about whether it's possible to turn a tribute page into a book. They might want to download it to store it in a different additional format. So what we're able to do and see as the tribute owner here is the ability here for them to download the content from their tribute. So they're able to download that in a zipped file, and they can request that download. And again, that's just a feature purely for the tribute owner. So that's a really nice feature that's in there. The other area that we see blossoms quite a lot is the events functionality. So these pages can stay live for people forever, and people can add events onto tribute pages. I actually want to share with you a couple of live pages that have been set up by funeral directors. So this page here was set up by the funeral director in memory of Harvey. Initially set up as the online funeral notice, like you yourselves do on a regular basis. But actually, you know, let's just have a look here. This is live. We can see just 6 minutes ago, even though set up last year. There's a button here on the left, the events, and you can see all of the events that are being added. And these ones are upcoming events, because the family have begun and engaged with the charity they're supporting. They want to do something better. They want to create events. They want to benefit the charity in memory of Harvey, and they're able to do that on their tribute pages. And you can see all of these lovely previous events that have taken place as well. And when they create an event, friends and family can also create their own events on pages. It creates a hub where they can talk about their event, they can have a target they want to reach, and they can share that specific page and that event on their social media as well. So friends and family can share their this event, you know, far and wide. The event functionality also enables supporters and friends of the loved one to include an event that isn't fundraising. So say, for example, they want to do a memorial walk for Harvey. They can add that on there without having the fundraising aspect on there as well. And we often find events where maybe 2 or 3 people are taking part in a specific event. They might be doing a colour run for in memory of somebody, benefiting a charitable organisation, and they can all have their own hubs on the tribute page. So it's really special feature that's really lovely, and probably something you don't always see in your day-to-day area of setting up the tribute pages. We've got quite a few different examples again set up by the funeral director, and there are events taking place right out in memory of Bernard here. So they've got their event added on the page. They've got a total that they want to reach, £3,000, and a story about it, where to meet, where to go. It's a really lovely feature that's on there, and it's something that you might, as I say, not know so much about, but is really, really lovely. So going on to a little bit more about how to share the tribute. You're often very familiar, you log into your partner area. So we've seen how to share it from the front end for a supporter. So people going to a tribute page, and if it's the tribute owner or friends and family, they've got the share button on the front of the tribute. And from there, they can obtain the QR code themselves, or they can share the page and the tribute via email or via their WhatsApp, and they've got the button and the URL here to copy that link as well. So for friends and family, they've got that share button on the front of the tribute. For yourselves, you're also able to share the tribute, and you've got a few features on how to do that. You've got the order of service, which you can upload, and on the that's not so much about sharing, but you just so you know, you can upload the order of service to appear on the tribute page as well. But here you've got the ability that this is a shortcut that takes you to be able to download that QR code yourself. So you may download that QR code and send it with the file, the PDF of the order of service off to the printers to include on the back of the order of service there. You've also got this SMS sharing. So the SMS sharing enables you to share the key information about the tribute to a supporter or friend or family by just simply putting their number into the box here, and you can personalize the message that goes out. And so, for example, you have a funeral that's taking place in a couple of days, and somebody phones up and says, oh, I'm attending Anne's funeral on Friday. Can you give me a little bit more information? You're able to then say to them, look, I can send you the online funeral information. via a message. You pop in their SMS, their phone number there, personalize the message. Dear Debbie, here's the information regarding Anne's funeral, and you send it off, and that will send that link to the to that supporter or to that person. And what you're able to do, it keeps a record of that as well, so you can see, and your colleagues can see who that SMS text has been sent to. So you're able to do that from your MuchLoved partner area, and some of these sort of features are really great to use. Those of you who may be using EFD Seeker or Oak Evolution, it's an integration that we have with those other platforms, and when you create the pages, they automatically appear in your partner area. This is where you're able to log in. If you have Oak and Evolution, you have your MuchLoved portal, you can then log in and use these sharing features and personalize the pages all within your MuchLoved partner area. Let me just have a little look at my notes, because I do often go off on a bit of a tangent, make sure I've actually covered everything. Yeah, I think I have actually got the social links there, and yeah, I think I'm going to hand back to Sally now, but hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of the importance of adding the tribute owner.
Thank you, Catherine. So I am just going to flip back and show you the partner area, because I'm going to talk about reports. And actually, I just noticed a question coming up from Simon saying, is the amount raised sent to the nominated charity as an ongoing amount or as a lump sum? So we transfer the donations around the 15th of the month for all donations collected in the previous month. So any donations collected in July will go across to the charity around the 15th of August. So if you've got a funeral, a pay or a tribute page that is likely to collect donations over a couple of months, or in some of the cases that you've seen before, over many months, then we'll just transfer the donations each month. So it'll be ongoing. Simon's also asked if there's a facility to close the donations. And I'm actually going to come on to that when I talk about the reports a little bit. And Elaine, I'll come to your question a little bit later. So flipping back to the reports, in your partner area, you can click on the reports tab. So everyone's got access to this. And the first report that you'll see is an overview. So you can see how many tributes have been created this year, and you can see a comparison to the activity that you had last year. So this is all tributes in total if you've got multiple branches. It'll also tell you how many donations have been collected, and again this year, and then it compares that to last year. Underneath that, you've got a breakdown of month by month donations, and then underneath the tributes created, you've got a list of the most active tributes. So that's most active tribute, not just in terms of donations, but actually how the pages are being used, photos being added, messages being left, candles lit, and so on. And then you can break down the information a little bit further. Now, all of the reports follow the same format. So you've got this filter along the top. It'll automatically set it to information from last month. But if you want to change that date range, then just click on that and you can select some of the other pre-created date ranges, or you can just put your cursor in and customize it. You can download that report, and you can also choose to schedule that and any of the other reports that I'm going to show you. So this one is telling us how many tributes have been created by this company for last month. And it's going to give me, well, we've just set up a couple of branches. So if you've got one, it will just give you one figure. If you've got multiple branches, you'll get a figure for all of the branches. So useful to have a look at, see what your neighbouring branch is up to, how many pages they're creating, or maybe you want a bigger overview of how your organisation is using the service. You've then got a report on tribute activity, and this kind of comes back to what Catherine's been talking about, some of the functions and the features on the pages. This will give you a really good idea of how the pages are being used, how many candles have been left, how many gifts, how many images, how much music's been uploaded. And you may or may not do anything with this information. It might just give you a sense of how your families are using the pages after you've created them. Or maybe actually, you know, you're going to work with your PR people to maybe approach a family to use how they've been affected by having a tribute page as a bit of a case study story. That's just an idea. You've then got a funds raised per branch, so that will give you a breakdown of the income that's being collected through the tribute pages per branch. So another opportunity to maybe have a look at how your neighbouring branch is doing, how much income has been raised through them. The filters are the same, and then you can break it down even further. And actually, this is kind of one of the best reports, I think, because actually you can see which charities are being supported, and you'll probably be quite surprised that a lot of your local charities will be really, really very well supported. I mean, you may see cancer research at the top, that's not uncommon, but it'll also probably be very likely that you'll see your local hospices very high up and really well supported. And again, that information could give you the opportunity for another kind of local bit of publicity, or just the opportunity to reach out to your local charity in a way to connect with them. There's also a report on client reviews. Now, I'm not going to go into this in detail, but if you use our client reviews, then this report will be relevant to you. If you'd like to know more about our client reviews, we can either run one of these sessions, or you can just get in touch with us, support@muchloved.com, and reach out to us, and one of the account managers will get in touch with you about the reviews. They're basically included in our service if you are on our paid subscription service. So one other thing I wanted to show you on this was actually alerts. And that comes back to Simon's question, is there a facility to close donations? So what we do after about 6 weeks after the funeral's taken place, we remove the funeral notice information from the front of the tribute. So I'm just going to open this tribute to Anne. So this is the funeral information on the front of the tribute. So about 6 weeks after the funeral's taken place, we take that information off, we archive it, and we put a copy of it in the gallery. So effectively, we're closing it as a funeral notice, but giving people the opportunity to continue to use the tribute for as long as they wish. It is their page, and they can use it for as long as they would like to. If they want to delete it, they can get rid of it through their account settings, or they can get in touch with us, or actually you guys can delete it on their behalf if that's what they would like. So once the funeral notice information has been archived, you can receive an alert to tell you that that action has happened, and the alert will point you to a series of reports that you can download. So the reports are all sitting here anyway, but it will give you a direct link to them, and it will show you, they're fairly simple reports, but it will give you a list of all the donations that have been collected through that tribute to date. And it will give you a breakdown of what's been collected online, what's been collected offline, and then it will give you a list of the donations, who they've been left by, unless they've chosen to remain anonymous, and then the message that they've left alongside them. So you can either print that off and give it to the family if you want to. You'll get it in PDF format, so you can email it to them as well. Or if you've collected some cash and check donations that you're sending to the charity, you might want to send a copy of this report alongside it, so it's all kind of connected. So how to set up the alert? You just simply click on Manage, click on Alert Preferences, click on Add a new email address, ignore all of these, and just make sure that this very last one is ticked. And if you're unsure about anything, get in touch with us. The support contact details are at the bottom of your partner area, or just email your account manager or email support@muchloved.com, and we will help you get this set up. And then you will always be aware of when the funeral notice section has closed and the donation report is available to you. So, right, let me just go back to my presentation, and then we will look at some of the questions that have come in. So give me a minute just to get to the right page. So something new to share with you this morning, which you may have already seen in our e-newsletter that went out earlier this week. We have produced a new client leaflet. Now, I'm hoping my colleague Katie is on hand to pop a link in the chat to show you where the details about this are placed in the support site that we've got for you. So basically you can download a PDF copy of it there, which you can then print as many as you like. There's also kind of an e-version of the leaflet. So if you want to supply it to people in a PDF format, so you don't want to print it, you can do that, and you can add that to your website if you want to. Or if you'd like a branded version of this leaflet, then you can send us your logo. And if you've got a particular colour for your typeface, you can send us that and we'll incorporate that. And then we'll supply you back with a sort of e-version of the leaflet and a copy of one that's in a version that can be printed. So it's in a kind of tri-fold format. So that's available to you. And Katie has just very kindly shared the link to that. So the last thing that I really want to talk about in terms of features on the service is grief chat. And this is a functionality that's available to all of our subscription-based partners. So all of our Optimum partners. So if you're a paid subscription partner, you can have access to this if you like. Now, Grief Chat is a free online bereavement counselling service, and it sits in a little chat box. You know, this chat box that you maybe talk to your mobile phone company through? It's exactly the same as that. It sits through a widget directly on your website. You can put it on multiple pages on your website. You can link to it through your signature on your email if you'd like to. You get up to 250 chats to use throughout the year, and that's included as part of your package. If you need more, you can have an arrangement directly with Grief Chat to pay for more. Every counsellor that answers those queries, they are vetted. So they have been through DBS checks, they carry a minimum qualification of level 4 counselling diploma and have a minimum experience of 100 hours of practice. And many have achieved degree and postgraduate qualifications. It's a really fantastic service, and it's not meant to replace face-to-face counselling, but the idea is that it will just give your families immediate access to help. I mean, I've experienced it myself. It's very overwhelming finding a counsellor or accessing counselling service. So this is intended to give people some kind of immediate relief. So if you haven't got it and you're interested in having it, then please do reach out to us and we will help you get that set up. And then just finally to talk about our future webinars. So at the moment, we've only got one set up, but we've got lots of others planned. So the next one is on the 10th of September, having a little bit of a break over the summer period. And it's talking about the power of words and the right content to add to your website. So you may or not know, but we also offer a website design service. So we can produce your website for you. And that's why we're very well placed to talk about the kind of content that matters to have on your website. So please do come along and join us. I'm hoping I can persuade Katie, who's in the audience, to put a link directly to that webinar for us. And then in October, we're going to be looking about how the service can help you to engage better with your local community. And that is through our dedication pages, but also through the tribute pages as well. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. I now got a bit of time to have a quick look at some of the other questions that have popped up. So I'm just going to stop sharing.
Yeah, I've just had a look at a couple of the questions actually, Sally. So a couple of people have said that they've tried uploading the order of service, but they're saying that the file, it's suggesting they select a smaller file because the file's too big. So a couple of things I've noticed on that is sometimes if you, and I'm sure Sally will also add some information, but sometimes when you add photos as well onto the tribute page and they're in a huge format rather than being made smaller, is that the right word? Format, file. Then sometimes that takes up a lot of the space. So more space.
I think in this circumstance, they're talking specifically about uploading an order of service. So that would normally be in a PDF. So we would, I think it's set so that you could just upload that in a PDF format. But I tell you what, Zoe and Samantha, we'll do some testing on that. And if we're experiencing the same thing, then we will absolutely speak to our technical team and get that sorted for you. Elaine's asked, is there a GDPR issue about sharing the tribute with someone that rings up and asks for the links in case it's a family that don't want to have it? Well, the tribute pages are public, so if you've made them public, then they are in the public domain. So actually people could Google the links to it. So it's a public page, so there's no issues in terms of sharing it. If the family, there is the option for people to have a private tribute if they want, but obviously then it's not going to show on your website and people are not going to be able to easily find it, but they could still be invited to view the page. So if there is family there is some sensitivity around the funeral, then you may wish to make the tribute page private and then instruct the family that they can invite friends and family to view the tribute, but they would have to do that through, there's an invitation system when they're logged in through the back at the bottom of the tribute. That would be the best way to work around that.
That does just prompt me to say that with the sharing, that's making it private and public, that's also available for the tribute guardian as well. I was showing you the additional settings that they get on the left hand side of the tribute. They're able to change you know, what people can add, what people can contribute. There's lots of different settings. It may be that the tribute guardian wants to be able to authorize any content. They might want a, you know, a lovely tribute page that everyone can view and see and add to, but they might just want to set it so that they authorize any content that is added beforehand. You never know, everyone has different family situations, so they can do that within their advanced settings on that left hand side. They'll be able to go to users and invitees, and likewise if there's siblings who they want to have an additional tribute guardian, you'd have your relationship and the tribute guardian that you've put into the MuchLoved partner area, but they can also include maybe somebody else to also act as the tribute guardian and also be able to make those changes to the pages, update content and things like that. So they can have multiple people and managing the tribute pages as well.
Excellent, thank you. So just to say thank you very much for joining us this morning.